Hi guys, welcome back to the storage room. I'm your host Malik, and I'm here with
What's up, y'all? Sean May-awn, English teacher.
bro. How'd you get that job?
You know what? I ask myself this all the time.
What student ever sees himself becoming the teacher, right?
So, that's my favorite question because I really don't know,
Yeah.
right? I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and say I was in elementary school, middle school, and like, I want to be a teacher. I know I had some very strong skills when it came to reading, being able to really extrapolate certain information, analyzing essays, just reading any type of literature and being able to have some sort of liking the literature and having discourse. I did work at a few summer camps growing up, and I recognized
Working with kids.
I like working with kids.
Is that like so? Summer camps is where you started realizing you like kids. You got younger siblings?
Having one younger sibling,
Did
but
that really teach you or no?
my nephew and nieces.
Okay.
My sister is about 10 years older than me. One of my brothers is about 12 years older than me. So my nephew right now, my niece right now, they're like 24.
Yeah.
Right? So I have about 6-7 years on both of them. And so like, being around them, that juvenile spirit,
And that's
is great.
Okay, that makes complete sense. English teacher, right?
Yes.
You like literature, so what's your favorite book? You got one? Maybe book series?
So I'm not a big fan of that question. I'm not really a series person, actually. The favorite question is hard. I have like a rotating cycle. It may be 11, 22, 63 by Stephen King one day. It may be The Dead Zone by Stephen King another day. It may be
So Stephen King.
I do love Stephen King, but currently, and I read this last January, it's Frederick Joseph. It's written by him and his wife, Portia Joseph. It's Conversations to Save the World. Oh, sorry, Better Than We Left It. Conversations, Better Than We Found It, excuse me. Conversations to Save the World. Please look it up. It's a social justice book.
God, that title.
Phenomenal read. It's so relevant and current, and it's also historical. Just
Yeah,
read
but it's
the
like,
lens of-
isn't that like everyone's goal? Like, personally, I know, like, just hearing that title alone, don't you just want to leave the world a better place? And you're like, your impact is so great sometimes. And like you get to work with the youth and really empower us. So, I get what you're saying, man. That book must be
Malik,
power.
I highly recommend it. I
Gotta read it.
exactly what you just mentioned. If you read it with that lens, you will appreciate the writing. You'll appreciate the examples. I think he's a phenomenal writer. He also wrote the Black Friend to Be a Better White Person. I may have butchered. Yeah, I read this one 2 years ago when it first released. Phenomenal read, not just for white people. Just a phenomenal read in general. It's
I love
relatable.
his word choice and his like fluidity with his words, because he really knows how to make you think with using basic, like, he doesn't use big words, he doesn't challenge your brain, but if you can really just dive book and analyze his work, you can really see the undertones and the messages he's trying to seep through.
That's why I like his writing. It's accessible.
Angie Thomas too, like Dean, Angie, oh my God, their books, some of the most powerful.
My niece is a big fan of hers right now.
Has she seen the movies?
She has.
Both
Yes,
of them, or just one of them?
I know she spoke about The Hate You Give. She likes it because she goes to school at a very affluent, and the population the demographics doesn't really match what she looks like. So what she does, she invests herself in reading like Black literature and from Black authors and just things that really represent her experience. So
I grew up in a private school as a Black man. You know, it's not really the right audience sometimes. So you have to.
So you have her appreciation for it. Like
How you feel about fiction, right?
Yeah.
I asked the question. I was personally thinking about my own experience. I'm a big Percy Jackson fan. Rep the blues. What's your view on fiction? You got a favorite fiction? Favorite fiction artist?
I've never read Percy Jackson.
Oh my God,
Percy Jackson. I've never read a series. I've taught middle school. I've taught high school.
You've taught that as the summer reading, and yet you never read it? 33 books across 16 years, and now a TV show and 2 movies. You can't not.
I'm checking it out. I'm gonna check it out. It's been on my TBR list, but there are other things that just Percy Jackson.
Honestly, I feel that. I do.
All right.
So you got a favorite fiction book or a favorite fiction author?
Favorite fiction author. I truly enjoy Stephen King because of just that psychological thriller, that horror. I'm a big horror fan. Yeah, I love watching horror movies. So when I am reading Stephen King, I feel I'm enraptured. I'm caught in his story. I'm in the story because I have a bias towards horror.
Yeah.
However, how do I feel about fiction? I do love nonfiction like stories as well. And I do love just memoirs and autobiographies because I heard a quote once, truth is crazier than fiction. Some of the stories are... I read a Mike Tyson book maybe about 10 years ago, Malik.
That man is fiction. You can't tell me otherwise.
Thank you. That's what I was going to say. His stories are insane. Insane.
What man bites the man's ear off? Like,
Well, man,
come on.
man, the tiger.
How many pigeons is that man on?
Oh, yeah, and he's like, Mike Tyson loved pigeons. He talks about pigeons a lot in one of the text title.
But like at the same time, that man is so powerful. Like if I ever saw him in the street, I'd never talk to him. Like the manner he conducts himself with has to be so mature. Like he reminds me a lot of people like Muhammad Ali, Martin Luther King. Float like a bird, sting like a bee. That's basically who he is.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
He's such a caring, loving individual. He really is one of the best fighters.
But he's a beast. The story's crazy. So when you get what factored into his life, you understand his personality, right? So when I read this, I just started watching more interviews of him. He's this very philosophical, intelligent man. He may not come off like down the surface. He's a big brute guy, right?
Also likes taking mushrooms. So
yes, and he took a little more than just mushrooms. He talks all about that in his, I guess it's an autobiography. I don't think it's an autobiography. I always mix up the difference between memoir and autobiography. But whatever it is, it's one of the best books that I ever read. I could relate to in a sense, and I just grew and learned to have more of appreciation of just Mike Tyson and boxing in general. But like going back to the fiction, I do love fiction, but like I said, sometimes truth is just crazier than fiction. And sometimes some of these stories, these memoirs, these autobiographies I've read are to the point where it's like, it's hard to grasp. Like, this is crazy. And some of the historical things that I've read, 50-50, man. I don't like one more than the other. I'm big nonfiction just as much as I'm big on fiction.
That makes sense. I mean, I feel like every kid starts in fiction somewhere. Personally, I started with comic books.
Okay.
Did you comic books?
I collect
manga.
I guess, what is there a difference between comic books and mangas? There is.
Okay, so manga strictly is Japanese.
Got it.
And it is a cultural thing where comic books is an Americanized version of it.
Okay.
That's how I view it and that's how I see it. Same with like Avatar: The Last Airbender is like an anime, but it's not a Japanese anime, so it's not considered an anime.
That's where I'm confused. My friends and I, we've been reading manga since we were younger. So like Sailor Moon, Dragon Ball Z, where it's like some.
Damn, some of these people, I don't watch manga or read manga or watch anime.
Oh.
I have no clue what you saying, but some of you guys are really gonna understand what it's.
Huge on anime. I've slowed down on reading the mangas. As I got older, I just started picking up more just literature, right? Okay. But I do watch a lot of anime. Right now I'm on Jujutsu Kaisen. I'm up to date with One Piece. I'm rewatching Hunter x Hunter. I missed that show so much, man. Malik, you got to get on it.
I might get on. I might have to do it. Look, I got on One Piece just recently. I started.
Nice.
So I'm getting there. I'm still my anime journey, but I'm really new to it.
And the live action is
I started there and then I went to the regular one.
Dope.
Yeah,
dope.
I'm a big person on having to relate to characters, and animated characters are hard to relate to.
That's fair. That's fair, man. So what about you? I didn't get a chance to ask, like, you go, so literature. Big fan?
Huge fan. So I grew up around literature. My aunt's a playwright in the Black community. She's a big playwright. She works at Columbia. So literature has always been surrounded. I've always been surprised. I've got, like, plenty of I love Martin Luther King's autobiography.
Okay.
Well, technically it's not an autobiography. Written by his...
Wow.
But very small memoir. It's not big. It's one of my favorite books of all time, but I love
should check that
Black literature. I'm a huge Black literature.
Okay. Who's so when you say Black literature, because you're surrounded.
I like
with what really stands out to you the most? And I could talk to you about that.
Okay. You ever read Dear Martin?
I have not.
Okay, when you get the chance, that might be personally one of my favorite books of all time. That or like The Hate You Give. Those two really just strike me home. Dear Martin is, most of you have read it because it is our summer reading most of the time. So Dear Martin is just one of the most powerful stories when it comes to Black literature. A man who was dating a white girl, broke up with the white girl at a party. He broke up with her because she was making dumb decisions. And he got arrested. He went to jail. Okay. And then that carried on into the sequel, Dear Justice. Like, these powerful stories. I grew up in Brooklyn, New York, the Ditmas area. I wasn't really surrounded by a lot of the negative Black culture or hood culture.
Yeah.
But I was surrounded by it enough to know that it was a part of my culture.
Yeah.
And I was not going to fall suit to it. But I do like reading about some of the stories so I know what other people in my culture have to deal with.
I love that. And you know, I'm glad you mentioned that part because as, you know, Ethan behind the cameras over here, he could attest to, this is what I try to do in my class, right? This is what I love about White Plains, just the amalgamation of culture.
Diverse.
Right? So economically, politically, culturally, I try to expose my students through independent reading because I do have a curriculum to follow.
Yeah.
Do independent reading to other cultures and experiences. So for instance, we had to do Hispanic Latinx Heritage Breeding Month. We also had to do, we are going to do February.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, but we're going to do a Black History Month reading where I want to expose all students, even if you are Black, right? Because you might be reading still through the lens of a window. I always get the mirrors and window. So the mirrors and window concept, through a lens of a window, even if you are Black and you look the same as a character, you may have not had the same shared experience. And that sounds like what you said. Yeah, you're Black, it's been around you, but, you know, I still have the opportunity to learn and see how, you know, other people who are around me who look like me and their experience as well, even if I can't truly empathize exactly the way, the lifestyle they live. So that's why I appreciate African-American literature as well, because I still learn a lot more about myself growing up in the history of my ancestors. I was recently reading a book, Free Water, one of my favorite books. I think it's phenomenal. It's about enslavement and how it's fictional. But it has like true historical lens in the fiction. It's about just a culture of African Americans who leave, who become free from, not become free. They escape from enslavement and they go maybe like a few miles out and create their own territory in swamp water, and they live in trees in the swamp water, and they live hidden from those who enslaved them. And it just, the concept like caught my eye. But throughout the same time, like I said, the historical lens that's woven into it while I was reading something fictional. And yeah, the concept may seem a little outlandish, like living in trees like Tarzan, but
it hits home. It almost brings a sense of urgency, a sense of realism into a life that you will never have to live.
Thank you. And that's well said, and I appreciate that, because if you read that book, you're going to look at it. First, you might laugh at a couple scenes, but then you're going to realize, like, this was the reality of our ancestors. And yeah, there's some, you know, fictional aspects to it, but there is that sense of realism.
All right, okay, so I got a question.
What's up?
This is more about the school. So this year, as a senior, I tried to get 2 classes this year. I tried to get African American history taught by Miss Tomaselli, one of the best history teachers this school has to offer. Fight me. And then I tried to get African American literature.
Okay.
One of my sister took this course when she went here, but sadly not enough kids signed up. Do you think you would try and get the African American literature program back? If you had the opportunity to, would you teach it?
I feel like that's a pressing question.
If you don't want to answer it, we could skip it.
No, pressing meaning like, hey, listen, you could see the future. I am taking over that course.
Oh my God.
Yeah, Mr. Polanco, Mr. Graff and Reed have taught it over the years.
Yeah.
They
no offense to either one of them.
Abdicated, and I am taking over the African American literature course. So you'll see me at.
I was hoping. I'm not. I won't. I'm leaving. Unfortunately, this was my final year to try and get it. I've been fighting for that class to be taught by a person of color for a while, and it's nice to actually hear that class will be taken over, because I really thought, last year I had to make a petition because the kids at the Highlands wanted to do it, but it wasn't going to be offered.
Yeah.
And I had teachers reaching out to me to try and fight for this class, but I'm so glad to hear that you're taking it over.
I appreciate it, my boy. And
any juniors, sophomores, freshmen, please sign up for this class.
Please, I'm going to make it a boatload of fun. I know Mr. Graff and Reed and Mr. Polanco have been helping, guiding me. I've been looking at their syllabus. They both taught it totally different.
Yeah, completely. You're going to add justice to it, and
we'll have fun. We're going to have fun, guys.
I can imagine we're going to take that.
But you're also going to learn, and you're also still going to have to read it right? Literature class. Also keep that in mind as well. But I think it's important, and I'm glad you mentioned it. Sucks that you didn't have the opportunity to take that course, because, yes, the African-American history, that's always been taught, correct? I do feel like African-American literature should be just, like, inextricably is a literature. Right. It needs to be. You have school, you have English class. I think it should be a class that is mandatory. That's my thought.
It's pushing.
It's pushing, right?
Okay.
Okay.
But diversity in literature is still a huge margin that needs to be crossed across many minorities. It's not just Black literature, whether it's Latinx, Asian, South Asian, Indian literature. All these different forms need to push. Whether that means even just translating books. We need to get better at translating books. We don't translate enough articles and books from other places into English.
And that's a polarizing issue.
Completely.
Because
only 10% of the world. But only 10% of the world speaks English.
So when some of these students come over, right, and we put them, they're reading at a so-and-so level in English. And that's a little unfair to them because they are super intelligent. They know native tongue. They know how to read native tongue. So I think we need to do a better job at accommodating them. Right?
When you hear these kids who are amazing, like some of the smartest people in the world. One of the youngest doctors in the world comes from like Kenya or something. She's like 16, 17 and is a fully fledged doctor, graduated college and everything, but barely speaks any English because she wasn't from America. It's really hard to understand why this barrier in literature is still here when translation apps are even so easily accessible.
Easily, especially with AI now these days. I think schools, especially schools who are located, right? If you're in Wisconsin, a population where, yes, there is a large population of foreigners, I think you should be able to, we should spend a little of our money and allocate towards them with the translated.
I don't want to be that guy personally. You watch sports?
Oh, yeah.
I'm not as big on the sports thing. So you saw the game last Sunday?
Yeah, I've watched every football game every year from my life since I was a little kid of my dad, the Denver Broncos.
Ooh, that's a polarizing team. I'm a Giants fan, guys.
You guys been having a very rough couple seasons. Well, look who's talking. Let's go talking. Broncos have a 2 years actually, but maybe.
Not as tough as the Ravens, though.
Okay, so the choke job, man. They did not even a choke job. It's a ref job. Where you at on those calls, man? It's fair. That's fair. Like especially the one with Isaiah Likely on the one where I felt like he was held. Maybe.
Yeah.
There were a few.
But like you can't even blame him. He threw a ball, caught it, and then got more yards than any receiver.
That was tough. That's tough. I think I was watching. I said, when you're playing a video game, you play video games?
Yeah.
You ever seen that meme when you're playing a video game and then you're losing, and then they show the person getting up like this, like they serious?
Yeah.
That was me watching the Lamar thing.
Yeah. I was like, how did it go? You're like crazy.
I'm like crazy.
Yeah. Right.
I was hoping the Ravens won naturally because Kansas City is in the AFC West. That's our rival.
But it's also not even there. It's also just like there's something about Lamar and that team and how that team, where they were to where they are. Come on, you got to root for the underdog. I really did. I personally thought it was
maybe I'll make it back.
I think next year is going to be the year. I genuinely believe so. I don't see a year where the Ravens don't make it back to the Super Bowl at least once before I'm like 20. I'm 17, so 3 years. They got 3 years to make it back.
I see it. There's a lot of teams in the AFC that are just becoming a lot stronger. Los Angeles Chargers just picked up a new coach.
Oh yeah, for sure.
The Texans, they overachieve.
Listen, as long as they don't perform like the Denver Lions did, not the Detroit Lions. Detroit Lions did on the game after. How do you come from like a 17-point lead to a 17-point loss?
It happens. I think people are going to blame Dan Campbell for the coach for not kicking those field goals. He left 6 points off the board. I like his aggressiveness. Would I have done it? I probably would have kicked the field goals, but I liked it.
At least 3.
I liked it.
Like if you're gonna leave 6 points on the board, come on, play it. Come on,
you gotta play it.
Right. But even with those 6 points, he still would have lost because his team gave up after the second half.
They lost still because I think life. People are going to say sports is all about momentum. I think life is all about momentum, right? So I think you have to seize all the opportunities that you can. But
you're very softball.
That comes from the reading and just like traveling. I think it also is like you need to be able to recognize the opportunity.
Yeah.
So
they're going to be able to
see it. And it's vision. I think having the vision and seizing the opportunities and gaining that momentum. I feel that it's the same with sports.
I feel that.
Same with sports.
Actually, we really get to see that at the school. Look, I've been to 3-4 schools. I went to Brooklyn Tech for a year. I got to go to their football games. I'm not going to lie to you. Brooklyn Tech's football games, rowdy. But White Plains has more audience members in the crowd for a loss. Like, all grace to our football team, but like when you're losing that many times, to still have your audience and your team and your community come out and support you like that, damn, you guys are doing something right. It really shows the communication.
It shows the appreciation. It's just the integrity within the community. That listen, we're not just going to hop on if you're winning, right? We're going to celebrate even.
Come to the pep rally. Oh, that's this Friday.
This Friday, I just saw it.
Well, it's been everywhere. They emailed us about it 2 weeks ago. They sent out a mass email 2 weeks ago.
Either I got to check my emails or teachers got it a little late, but
teachers might have, but they're signed.
I'll be there for about 35 minutes. Probably and celebrate. I didn't go to the first one. I felt terrible.
Listen, personally, I think the winter sports. Personally, I know people are gonna hate. I think the winter sports are the best sports at this school. I'm a track runner though, so like I love the spring sports. Yeah. But girls basketball, boys basketball, boys swimming. Oh my god, the winter sports at this
solid. Did you guys beat Mount Vernon? Did we beat Mount Vernon? I didn't get a chance to go to the game.
I didn't get a chance to go to the game either, but I assume so. I could be wrong, but I assume so.
Okay.
Right. Okay, so you're a sports fan. What's your favorite sport? Do you play
football? I played. I went to Pace University. That's around the corner.
Right around
Westchester.
Yeah, around the corner.
I played football there for 2.5 years.
Oh yeah.
I played college football for 2.5 years. DB. Okay. I was an outside linebacker, and I lost a lot of weight, got faster. I was a little on the side.
You still at the gym, though?
I do. They're a lot bigger, but now I'm trying to actually cut a little weight. I don't know why it's pointless.
Still looking stylish.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Making me look a little bad.
Appreciate it. No, I wish. Listen, if I could come to work in a hoodie,
I mean, trust me, I would. I feel you on that. But
no, I think it's good.
Clean, like
thank you. Thank you.
And gotta give you your props there.
Appreciate it. But yeah, I love football. I played football. I played a little basketball in high school, but it was more for just cardio. I rolled the bench.
That makes sense.
It was just to stay in shape for football, so I stopped playing.
I feel I'm actually really glad, and I just want to take a moment. Congratulate Mr. Lindbergh on that new program he's integrated. I know he's probably not even gonna watch this, but like. Our football team here has integrated a new program where you have to do 2 sports or 200 hours of physical activity once football season is ended, if you plan to play next year.
Listen,
I feel like that's amazing.
That's what you should be doing as a coach. You need to have a solid off season because the games are wild.
Teaches track.
I've seen that.
He coaches track and football,
but you win games also in the off season. If that makes sense to you, you need to be training. You need to be watching film because then you can save a lot of time during the actual season to
progress.
So, Mr. Lindbergh, I commend you as well for implementing something like that because, a lot of my teammates. This is back in 2000. I started high school in 2007, ended 2011. Around that time, we didn't really have a program like that. We had to go out and go to LA Fitness or Planet Fitness on our own.
Actually, another thing with commend White Plains again. The partnership that White Plains High has with Planet Fitness for their 2 summer fitness things 2 years in a row. They've given out free. Every kid in the school gets a free membership over the summer.
Yeah.
What? And then they got a Planet Fitness gym down here.
It's nice not to see that.
Opportunity to work out when you can. To have a opportunity to go to a gym for free during your summer because you don't have access to the gym at the school. I mean, I got to commend White Plains on that.
I didn't know. I think that's actually a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
And that goes back to what we mentioned just about just the community.
Yeah.
I'm sure the community helped with that investment. And just, White Plains district as a whole.
Yeah.
Putting merit on health, right? Giving students
health and wellness.
That's awesome. We get a free one, teachers. I gotta check that out.
You might have to. Check that out. I mean, it might be weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, it really is just. It's really a big community out here. It's great. It's a great, nice, caring.
I agree.
We want everyone to do well, not just ourselves. We don't care about the one. We care about the whole. And really do see that. Although I do wish there was a lot more school events, like maybe a homecoming next year. Maybe. But. It's nice to feel appreciated as a senior, as a student, right? The student body.
As a teacher, I feel appreciated as a teacher.
Yeah.
No, seriously, the amount of it's my first year here, everybody, and just the amount of support I've received from my colleagues, people who are not. Well, I was gonna say my colleagues, people within the English department, and my colleagues who are not within the English department, just checking in.
But even like teachers,
letting me know what things are, administration,
people I've ever met, right?
Yeah.
So. I've been at the school for 3 years, and the teachers, I can go to classes that I'm not even in, like freshman classes, sophomore classes, and I sit down in the front of the classroom, and I'll sit there while the teacher's teaching, wait for the teacher to finish. I'll be there. I got to study on.
Yeah.
I can sit there and feel in the class. I can help students out. Like teachers don't ask you to help, but you could choose to help out kids who the June. Like take the opportunity to better the community. We have this. What's the name of the center? The center right behind me in the library. The study center. Donate your time if you need that help. Don't hesitate to go
That's
here.
if you go when they're like student tutors, correct?
Yeah, the student. That's what the study center is.
Yep.
And then after school help. Don't use it. Use it. It's there.
There's
I-
someone with all the
so-
time.
I got one last question before we end this.
What's up?
You got a favorite quote? I personally get one. I love
Sure.
quotes. Early to bed, early to rise makes a young man wealthy, healthy, wealthy, and wise. God, I messed that up.
Can you repeat that?
Early to bed,
Mhm.
early to rise makes a young man wealthy, healthy, and wise.
Oh, I like that.
It hits. It
Yeah,
hits.
that makes sense, man. It's all
Yeah.
encompassing. I do. But now, like, just regurgitating it is always tough. Let's see.
You don't have to, but just like give us the odd there. Like, because personally, like Muhammad Ali makes some of the best quotes.
So he does. There's one I like as just I try to tell my students. The unknown is full of opportunities, but courage allows you to it permits you to explore that space. So
The shadows are yours for the
just
taking.
having the courage to really take academic risks, take personal risks, you'll be able to see what's in the unknown. Because if you don't,
Fear,
know what
man.
it is,
Fear has two meanings, right? Everyone knows them. Fear everything and run, or fight everything back.
I also know fear as false evidence appear real. Les Brown.
Dude, never back down from your fear. Your fear is the only thing holding you back, okay? This is us signing off, man. It was nice to
Appreciate you, man.
Have fun.
Okay,
Okay?
man. I appreciate you, dude.